So I've been growing increasingly concerned that the elites, the deep state, whatever you want to call them, are doing are carrying out a very effective counterintelligence operation against all of us. What I mean by this is, well, back up a bit. In war, the way I understand war and trying to figure out what your enemy is doing, the chain of logic can go in one of two directions. Either you go, and it intermingles and it meshes with each other, it goes back and forth, but you can either use the enemy's movements to predict what their intentions are, or you can use what you know of their intentions to predict what their movements will be. And like I said, there's a lot of back and forth, and it's this constant push and pull of these two forces, trying to figure out what's going to happen next, where they're most vulnerable, where they're strongest, everything like that. For the using their intentions to predict what they'll do next, imagine you have a front line, and it's very long, and in all but one sector of this front line, you have all these different positions and defensive lines and all this, and at every other sector in the line, if the enemy breaks through, you have fallback lines, you have extra reserves there to defend and reestablish a new front line. And so where in other sectors, they may need to punch through 500 kilometers before they actually break through to the rear of your front. In this one sector, for whatever reason, there's some reason that this one sector, it can't really use those defensive lines. So if they break through here, they pretty much win. But in order to break through here, so we think they'll attack here. And to break through here, we have it pretty well fortified. It's this narrow pass up this road, and we have on this hill back here a bunch of artillery pieces, anti-tank guns, direct fire, indirect fire, all of that dialed in perfectly to the one or two areas where they can actually approach from the front. And so we say, okay, they're going to attack here. If they want to attack here, they'll have to neutralize this hill. Okay, so we're about 50-50 in air power right now. Nobody really has air superiority. Maybe they'll try to launch a missile at it. Their artillery pieces can't hit it from where they're positioned, from the front. So maybe a missile, maybe an airstrike, but we have pretty good air defenses, but maybe they'd try to drop paratroopers in, at least to cause confusion long enough for the armored column to come rolling up the road, because without these pieces, we might still be able to fight them off, but these are crucial to our defense in this sector. Or maybe they'll try to sneak in special forces and in the night blow up the artillery pieces. Just blow up plant bombs to cause confusion the next day, again, to allow that front to advance. So that's using what their intentions are, obviously, to win the war. And you can kind of pare it down, okay, where are they attacking? What do they need to do to attack? What are their capabilities? So this is what we think they're going to do. We think they'll try to insert special forces. Okay. So you use their intentions and their capabilities to predict what they're going to do, right or wrong, very often wrong. But the other direction is, let's say we have no idea what their intentions are. I mean, we know they want to attack, but there's not really any clear indicator as to one sector in the line that's more vulnerable or more crucial than any other. So we don't really know. We can try to use some spies, but we can't be sure if that's accurate information, and they're not getting much information. So let's just look at their troop movements. We see these troops moving this way. One of our spies said this supply dump was being set up over here, and so maybe that's a sign that that portion is going to be the main line of attack. But they don't seem to have set up, been moving many troops to the area. Maybe they have, and we just haven't noticed. But basically, it's looking at what the enemy is currently doing and trying to figure out from that what their intentions are. If they have a bunch of troops converging into this sector and they're building up logistical chains to that sector, that's probably either that's all a diversion, in which case use that as information to assess the rest of what's going on, or that is actually going to be a main thrust of attack. So there's two directions of logic in trying to figure out what's going on. What I'm concerned with is that also in war, there is something, I think counterintelligence applies to both trying to root out and get rid of spies and or having Basically, throughout a lot of history, some leaders very intelligently, they would find spies, and, you'd think, oh, spies, they get executed. Just shoot them. Get rid of them. Or you could just walk up to the spy and you go, hey, it's lovely weather we're having today, right? Too bad they're predicting it's going to rain tomorrow. It's going to suck while we're marching to that city over there. Oh yeah, you didn't hear? Yeah, I heard them. I was standing outside the tent over there, and they were talking about how we're going to march to this city tomorrow, and it really sucks because, I mean, as far as I can tell, like, the only way we could get there is through this narrow passageway, and it would really suck if someone, planted their army right at the top of this hill and attacked us from there. That would really be unfortunate if they knew exactly what we were doing. Okay, have a good day. And they just let them go. And these sneaky spies think they're so sneaky, and they run off to tell their masters, and it was all a trap. Is that what's happening now? Because while we may think, okay, we have all our efforts to figure out what they're actually trying to do, in this allegory, analogy, metaphor, whatever you want to call it, I mix those up, so use your own discretion. But in this allegory, we're the spy. We're trying to figure out what the opponent is trying to do, what these elites, the deep state, the World Economic Forum, more and more they come out and they kind of just say it openly, which is part of what has me concerned. Because, I mean, when Klaus Schwab comes out and says, this is what we're going to do, and that is what we're going to do, and to me, it kind of feels like that friendly conversation with the spy who doesn't know that we know that he's a spy. So while we may all be taking a victory lap, and I'm grateful that more people are starting to seem to be asking the question I'm now asking more often, is that, yeah, we think, great, our spy gave us inside information. They let this info slip, they let that info slip. But did they? And did they do it on accident? Because while we may all think, oh, they're going to be so vulnerable here, look at how stupid they're being. They don't even know that we know exactly what they're doing. But similar to, I believe I've heard Robert Barnes say this the most, but I always get it mixed up because it just keeps going. We know, they know we know, we know they know we know they know, and we know they know we know they know, so on and so forth. So, if they know we know, and it seems more and more that is the case, is there something else that we don't actually see? We think we're getting inside information, and that's just the ruse. I mean, maybe it is just that they're so overconfident and mad with power that us knowing their true plans doesn't bother them. Because they think, look, you can't stop us anyways. But is it possible that these organizations and groups and individuals who have had a lot of practice in intelligence, counterintelligence, plotting coups, hasn't always been successful, but they certainly know how to make things move. And they, as far as I've seen, they have enough experience in being sneaky that it would surprise me a lot if they're just this overt. If there's not something going on in the background. I mean, similar to a leader in a war can be on a stage saying, we need to fight for freedom and honor and justice and decency, and then they go into the back room and they say, oh, wait, you created a new poison that can be weaponized as a gas? That's fascinating. Oh, they die in extreme suffering. Oh, that's really interesting. We should look into that. We should look into using that. Oh, you want to drop bombs on population centers? Hey, we gotta fight for freedom. We gotta do it. Like those morons out there keep thinking. So that's it. I'm concerned they are much more effective than we seem to believe at the moment. And I'm really concerned that, you know, there's a fan theory in Star Wars that it's actually Darth Jar Jar Binks, and he's the one who's been pulling the strings the whole time. But he's so good at looking stupid that nobody knows. So with that, Kamala Harris, just think about it. Darth Kamala as the one pulling the strings behind everything. If that's the case, she really is effective. She is very good at looking like an idiot. Okay, that's it for today. Y'all take care, stay safe. I think I rambled a bit too much, but you know, that's probably the best I'm gonna get. So stay safe, watch your back, and don't fall to the dark side. Thanks, bye.